Look at this. This is silicon graphics from the 90s. And on the computer, you have the oldest backup I could find from Blender. There's a file called blender.c, there's a file called blender.h. They're marked January 2, 1994, exactly 25 years ago. Here, look, there's even the file with the shortcuts. We are storing views, and border select B, and of course our famous grabber G, R, and S. So look how small things can start. Just one C file and a header file, and you start coding. And it does take a lot of work, and a lot of effort, and a lot of perseverance, and you don't give up, a lot of vision. But after many years, you can get a program that does something spectacular like what Blender is doing now.
Blender's story isn't just about software, it's about defying the odds. It all started in the mid-90s when Dutch software developer Ton Roosendaal created it as an in-house tool for a small animation studio, Neo Geo. In 1998, he left to start a new company called Not a Number to market and further develop Blender. Then, in 2002, Blender almost disappeared. So instead of letting Blender die, Tonn launched a crowdfunding campaign to buy back Blender from investors and release it as open source. Thanks to Blender's community of 250,000 users at the time, the campaign was successful and Blender managed to raise 110,000 euros in just 7 weeks. Blender was reborn as the world's first open-source 3D suite. For years, Blender was seen as the underdog. Professionals scoffed at it, calling it clunky, unintuitive, and only good for hobbyists. But the Blender Foundation didn't stop. They kept improving it, powered by donations, individuals, corporations, and an ever-growing community. When Blender 2.8 was released in 2019, everything changed. A sleek new interface, real-time rendering with Eevee, and major workflow improvements turned Blender from a passion project into a serious competitor. Since then, Blender has exploded with over 20 million downloads per year, and now
This pencil is one of the reasons why the film industry is really looking into Blender. Because that's all the concept artists and the storyboarders, the story artists, they're all using it for developing film.
even tech giants like Epic Games, Nvidia, and AMD sponsor the Blender Foundation, which is excellent. But here's the thing, Blender is not free.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You can argue that it is because you get Blender for free. You think, hey, I didn't pay for it, it's free, Blender is free. No, Blender is not free. You get it for free because other people paid for you to get it for free. Think about it. In a world where companies like Autodesk charge thousands for Maya and 3ds Max, Blender represents freedom. No subscriptions, no licenses, no paywalls, because other people, other users like you, paid the Blender Foundation, gives money to the Blender Foundation so that the software can exist, and honestly that's why it's thriving. Blender has gone from an indie passion project and is still on its way to becoming a real industry force powered by an ever-growing community. But none of this would have been possible without one crucial thing, funding. And that brings us to the real question. What would happen if Blender ran out of money or simply lost its funding? First, it's important to understand that Blender's financial model is quite unique, which influences how it might react to a sudden loss of funding. Blender is open source, meaning the software itself would still exist and be available. A sudden loss of funding wouldn't make the software disappear. The community could, in theory, continue to develop and maintain the software, though at a potentially slower pace. But first,
what do people cost in the Blender organization? We have salary ranges going from 4 to 10k per month. And the developer grant, which is a very informal way to support developers to work on Blender, going to 2.5 and 5.
So obviously the Blender Foundation isn't just built by volunteers or supporters, but has to hire talented professionals, engineers, developers and artists to research and push development forward and work on new features, experimental tools, simply keeping Blender ahead of the curve. But If Blender were to suddenly stop and lose its funding, the first signs of trouble would appear almost immediately. Exciting new features in development will be cancelled. Paid developers would find other work, reducing the speed of new features implemented and bug fixes, etc. The Blender Foundation might have to scale back or eliminate activities like the Blender Conference, maintaining and improving online resources. In summary, while a sudden loss of funding would be a serious challenge, Blender's open source nature and strong community would likely react and prevent its complete demise. However, it would undoubtedly lead to a significant disruption in its development and the activities of the Blender Foundation. At BlenderCon last year, Tonn emphasized about something he's never said before.
Money, right? The source of all evil. So we should talk about money for once here.
So what does this mean? Is Blender in financial trouble? Well, rest assured, Blender isn't going bankrupt or about to shut down, but needs our help to sustain its growth and development. But the question is, why now? Well, as Tonn emphasized during his keynote address at the Blender conference, the organization is working on groundbreaking projects, or projects like Vulkan integration for better performance, Grease Pencil, free advancements for revolutionary 2D animation workflows, and more. These features will not just be for hobbyists, but will be designed to help Blender break into professional pipelines and compete with industry giants like Autodesk. Blender's ambition is clear: to push boundaries and remain at the forefront of 3D creation technology. But ambition requires funding. Did you know that out of Blender's 20 million annual downloads and 2 to 4 million active users, only 10,200 people donated in 2023? That's less than 0.05% of users supporting this incredible free software. And as of now, in the making of this episode, Blender has about 7,438 active monthly contributors and 31 corporate patrons, collectively providing $204,227 per month. While this represents ongoing support, it's unclear how the total number of donors for 2025 will compare to the 10,200 who contributed in 2023, but that number could grow if more users choose to support Blender's future. Think about it. Millions of people use Blender to create stunning animations, build careers, and bring their creative visions to life every day. And yet the number of contributors is shockingly small. Blender is being downloaded every second. By the time you finish watching this video, it will have been downloaded probably hundreds of times. Yet, despite its massive user base, Blender operates on a shoestring budget of just $3.2 million annually. This limited funding threatens Blender's ability to develop cutting-edge features, improve modeling tools, fix bugs, or even compete with commercial 3D software giants like Maya or Houdini. Blender relies entirely on donations and sponsorships to function. Without sufficient funding, the software we all rely on could stagnate or even fall behind commercial alternatives. In 2023 alone, Autodesk earned $5 billion compared to Blender's $3 million in donations. Imagine what Blender could achieve if it reached just 2% of its users donating. That would increase its budget from $3 million to an estimated $18 million annually, enabling faster implementation of innovative features, better support for professional pipelines, enhanced user experience, and learning resources. This isn't just about keeping the lights on, it's about transforming Blender into an even more powerful tool for creators everywhere. I know donating might not be an option for you, but here's the thing, even encouraging others to donate can make a huge difference. If everyone watching this video donated just $5, it could fund days or even weeks of development work for Blender. So if you've ever used Blender, professionally or non-professionally as a hobbyist or as a freelancer to bring your creative projects to life, or if you simply believe in the incredible potential of free and open source software, take a moment to reflect. Has Blender helped you grow as an artist or even launch your career? If the answer is yes, now is the perfect time to give back. By doing so, you're not just supporting Blender, you're investing in the future of creativity for everyone. So visit the Blender Development Fund at fund.blender.org and join the 2% and become part of something extraordinary. But if donating isn't an option for you right now, like I said, no pressure. Just spreading the word among your friends and colleagues can still make a huge impact. So if you've made it this far into this episode, you're a real hero. Comment the word hero so we know you're one of the heroes standing with us to support Blender. The recent Blender Conference 2024 highlighted just how passionate and dedicated this community is. With over 600 attendees and nearly 90 talks, it showcased not only what makes Blender special, but also what's possible when people come together to support open source innovations. From talks on color management to groundbreaking character animation techniques, the conference demonstrated how far we've come and how much further we can go with your support. Check out the Blender Conference 2024 recap and more exciting content on the Blender YouTube channel, link in the description. So yeah, that's all for today. Just remember, Blender isn't just a software, it's a community, a symbol of what's possible when people come together to create something extraordinary without barriers or limitations. So by joining the 2%, you're not just supporting development, you're investing in creativity, innovation, and freedom for millions around the world to create. So let's make sure the future of this creative tool is secure, and we'll never have to imagine a world without Blender. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.